when you are a young father in our community. Now, first thing I would say, if you are a young father in our community, and, you know, like I was just mentioning, knowledge itself is important. So that's always going to be the caveat to anything I talk about as far as what a person needs to do in our community or what they need to do to improve certain standings. I think understanding who you are, where we come from, first step, right? But after that, I think one of the first things a young man needs to do, the girl's pregnant, she's having a baby, you're going to be a father, that's already set in stone. The first thing you need to determine is, how are you going to, what type of relationship are you going to have with the mother? Like, this is, once you have a kid with a woman, that's probably the most important time of understanding and learning how to handle a woman's emotions, because it's not just a woman that you're fucking now. It's not just a woman that you're kicking it with. Once there's a baby in the situation, I think emotions are heightened. What's expected is heightened. Everything is put on a different level, right? So you need to figure out what type of relationship are you going to have with the mother. Now, in my opinion, a young person should be looking at, okay, what's the likelihood of me working it out with this woman? What's the likelihood of me actually putting myself in a situation where I'm in a relationship with her, where we're raising this kid in a stable environment? Now, if you're really young, right, you may not be ready to settle down with a woman or be in a relationship, but, you know, to a degree, that's something you should have thought about before you had the baby. So I would say, look really hard at the woman, your relationship with her, and determine, is this something you can build on? Now, I don't think you should be with somebody just because you have a kid, because that environment, that can create like a toxic environment that can make it even worse, where you're really not in a loving relationship, in a that's conducive to something long term. And, you know, I think kids can see that too. So I'm not saying just stay with somebody because you have a baby with them, but you really should look long and hard look at yourself and where you are in life as a man. Like I said, maybe you're not ready to settle down. If so, that's something you need to verbalize, like understanding, I'll go back to that, but understanding the importance of like a 2-parent home, like that structure for a kid. I don't think a kid should be raised any other way. Now, of course, shit happens. I get that. But if we're looking at, if we find ourselves in a situation where we have a baby, where maybe we weren't thinking about that before, it's not too late to kind of think long and hard about what you want to do. Think long and hard about, do you want this woman to be your mate? You can, and again, it's all about communicating and being honest, because you can tell her, hey, maybe not right now, I'm not interested in being in a relationship. Maybe we can work on that. Maybe we can, you can figure out a way through communication to do that right. But if you lie to her, if you start, if you start being disrespectful and lying and not being of your word and things of that nature, you can create a real toxic environment for everybody involved, right? So that would be the first thing. Try to work out the situation with the mom. 2-parent homes are needed. 2 heads are always better than one. Man, when we look at America and how hard it is in society, like how much shit costs, how expensive it is, of course you can raise a kid on your own. Of course you can do the shit by yourself, but it's going to be 10 times harder in certain instances. And now you need like this support system that doesn't involve a man. So you have your mom, you have your auntie, you have all these people. And of course, when shit happens, it happens, and you're doing whatever you think you need to do. But at the same time, we need to be more cognizant about how we can prevent these things, right? So you find out she's pregnant, 2-parent home. Try your best to create that situation. Because again, when that's not the case, then other family members need to be involved in more than I think they should. The structure of everything gets kind of fucked up when it's 2 homes that a kid has to go to instead of 1. But at the end of the day, if you determine that you're not going to be in a relationship with her, she's not the woman for you, whatever the case may be, then you have to go on a mission pretty much to create as much structure as possible. Because even though you're not in a relationship with the woman, or just because you're not in the same home doesn't mean you can't have a cohesive type of unit that still provides the kid a lot of love and support. Like that's that can definitely still happen. But in any situation, if you're with her, you have to try to create a structured environment, meaning your own spot, like 2 people living with their mom and you have a kid. Like, I'm highly against that, unless you're saving for a house, unless you're saving for an apartment. I get that, like somewhere to crash while you're getting on your feet. Everybody needs that kind of help at times. But this is something we need to think about when we have kids, man. If you have a child, you shouldn't be living at home no more. You are an adult now. That's you're kind of catapulting yourself to adulthood in a way. And just to touch on something else real quick, I think that's what happens in society a little too much. Sometimes you'll have young people who have kids and mentally they think they're an adult simply because they had a kid, but nothing about their actions is showing that they're an adult. They don't have their own shit. They don't have to pay their own shit. So it's kind of a warped psyche to a degree where you think you grown in a motherfucker, but you actually ain't carrying no weight. You actually a kid just like your kid living with your mama. So it's like your mama got another kid herself. You feel me? So we need to realize that can come into play at times, and we need to keep our kids realistic. If you have a kid that's young and they end up having a kid, you got to let them know, man, you've decided to be an adult. I want to help you. But I'm learning, like, with children, of course you got to look at how you raise them and what you put into them before you make decisions. But tough love helps. Like, tough love is important. We teach our kids about being preventive in sex and how they should live their lives and all this different shit. But if they decide to escalate that and be adults, sometimes you got to let them know, okay, you an adult now. Now you got to start doing adult shit. You got to move out on your own. I think, sometimes in our community, for whatever reason, the grandma factor gets blurred. Like, in my opinion, a grandma supposed to be somebody, a grandpa and a grandma supposed to be somebody, you drop the kids off at grandma's house, stay there for a few hours, go get them, go back and get them when you're going to work, or grandma come get them for a few hours, bring them, get ice cream or some shit like that. A grandma shouldn't be the primary care physician. I mean, not physician. The grandma shouldn't be the primary caretaker of the kid. It shouldn't be the person the kid lives with. Even if you're a man or a woman with a kid living with your mom, even though you may have an understanding at times, that's not the natural course of things if we're adults. Let's be honest. Most of us want our own spot with our own shit. That's what everybody wants. When you don't get that, what you tell yourself, while that's not happening or whatever, that shit's on you. But that's not how it's supposed to work. I don't care what nobody say. You have a kid, you have a woman, you're in a house together. If you're living with somebody, for the most, again, if you're getting some shit together at the moment and you on your job, that's always okay. People fall all the time where they need help. They got to get back on their feet. That's how America, I get that. Your family should be there for you. But if it ain't about you falling, if it's about you not excelling at getting shit done yourself, i.e. graduating from school, i.e. getting a job, being self-sufficient, but you chose to have a child, now you're creating a burden for the people around you based on the empathy they have for you, based on the love they have for you, based on the fact that this is a new child that's been created. So to me, the balance of your relationships with certain people will get skewed a little bit based on your lack of responsibility and accountability. You feel me?